Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Allie and I make new true crime videos every week. Today we are going to be talking about a case that has been in the media a lot. It happened in 2017 and it is the case of the Delphi murders, or it's also known sometimes as the Snapchat murders. So let's dive right in. Liberty German and Abigail Williams were best friends and they were 8th graders together at Delphi Community Middle School. Libby was 14 and she loved playing sports. She played soccer, she played volleyball, she played softball, and she loved to swim. She loved painting and doing crafts, and she absolutely loved spending time with her best friend Abby. Now Abby, from what I've seen, was more of the quiet one, but she loved playing volleyball as well. She loved painting and she loved reading. They were two little girls that had their entire lives ahead of them. They were planning on spending the next 4 years together, going to high school, and they were really excited about what that meant for them and what was going to happen and what they were going to experience. But all of that was cut short on February 13th, 2017. After having a sleepover together the night before, the girls decided that they wanted to go for a walk because they had the day off of school unexpectedly. It was a really nice warm day in Delphi, and so they decided that they were going to go for a walk, and so they were dropped off by Kelsey German, Liberty's sister, at the Monon High Bridge, and that is an abandoned railroad bridge near Deer Creek in Delphi, Indiana. And so, like I said, it was an unexpectedly warm day in February, and so they thought that it would be really fun to go to the bridge, spend some time together, and take some pictures together because they both loved photography and it seemed like the perfect spot to take some pictures. So off they went to spend the day at the bridge. Later that afternoon though, when they failed to meet their parents at the expected time and place, their parents started getting a little bit worried. And so they decided, you know what, we're gonna kind of look around. They couldn't find them, and so they decided to call the authorities. The authorities started a small search party, but they also said that they weren't exactly worried at this point about the girls. They said that they most likely had wandered off and maybe had gotten lost, or maybe they had run away, but they weren't worried about any kind of foul play at this point. Later that night, around midnight, the authorities decided to call off the search for the night. They said that it was getting too cold. The conditions weren't prime for searching for anybody. It was really dark. They were by a lake. They were in the woods. And so it just wasn't a very good time to be searching. So authorities did call off that search for the night. And they had not found any sign of the girls. They had not found any evidence or anything like that up to this point. Now, when authorities called off the search, family, friends, and even some of the police officers that were there continued to search through the night, and they were still not able to find anything telling them what happened to the girls, where they were. So the next day, on February 14th, 2017, the search began again that morning, and not long after the search began, somebody found a shoe next to Deer Creek. And almost immediately after this person found the shoe, across the creek, the discovery of 2 bodies was made. So somebody had found the bodies of Abby and Libby. So the girls were found about 50 feet away from the creek and about a half a mile away from the bridge. Autopsies were performed on the girls, but no cause of death has ever been released, at least as of this video. Police have kept a lot of the information and a lot of the evidence about this case very close to their chests. They haven't let slip very much information about this case, and their reasoning for this is that they don't want to harm the case in any way. So a lot of people believe that something to do with this crime is unusual or out of the ordinary, whether that could be the way that the girls were killed, the murder weapon. Something that is going on with this case is something that not most people would know of. And so because of this unique information, they believe that if somebody were to come to them with this information, it would more than likely be the killer or somebody that knows the killer or knows of the crime. So the very unique thing about this case is that police have 2 different sketches of their suspect. In addition to the 2 sketches that they have video and audio recordings of the killer, of the murderer.
Guys. Guys.
When they were walking on the bridge, Libby and Abby noticed that something was wrong. And so instead of just panicking and running away, for whatever reason, they decided that they couldn't get away. And so Libby took out her phone and started recording. She took pictures of this person, she took video of this person, and she even got his voice on her camera, which is just absolutely mind-blowing that this 14-year-old girl who knew that something was wrong and was probably scared out of her mind was able to have the wherewithal to take her phone out and record. It's just absolutely just, it blows my mind. But anyways, so police have two sketches of the suspect. The two sketches look completely different, and there's a lot of controversy as to which one is actually the suspect, but I'll show you the two pictures of the sketches and you can kind of see for yourself how they look. There are many theories as to what happened that day, so let's get into a few. Our first suspect is Paul Etter. When asked about Etter, Sheriff Toby Leesenby said his name has come up through the process. Paul Etter was a suspect in the abduction and sexual assault of a 26-year-old woman in June 2019. The woman had pulled over on the side of the road around 4 a.m. because of a flat tire, and Etter abducted her, took her back to his family farm, and sexually assaulted her. Around 5 p.m. the next day, Etter then drove her to another location and let her go. From there, the woman called authorities. Authorities searched for Etter for a week, eventually finding him in another county. Etter then drove off into a field where a 5-hour standoff ensued. After 5 long hours, Etter eventually shot himself twice, ending his own life. Authorities investigating the Delphi case have said that they are looking into Etter because his name has been called into a tip line. They requested his DNA be taken for testing during his autopsy. And from there, I haven't heard any further information about Paul Etter, so I don't know if the police had a DNA match or whatever came of that, but he was a suspect in the case. Our second suspect is Daniel Nations. Indiana native Daniel Nations was arrested in Colorado in September 2017 for threatening hikers on a path with a hatchet. In an interview with Fox 59 News, Nations' wife Caitlin said, "I have been with Daniel for 6 years now, and looking at that picture, there are a lot of similarities." She also said, "Honestly, I do not want to say that I can see him doing it or not." At this time, authorities working with the case do not believe that Nations is involved with Abby and Libby's murders. However, lots of people online think that he could possibly be related to this case. Like I said, he's from Indiana. In September 2017, he was arrested for attacking people on a path with a hatchet. So that's kind of an unusual weapon, and he was attacking people in a wooded area on a path. So it kind of goes together. So a lot of people think that we should not count him out as not being a suspect. Our third suspect is Thomas Bruce. November 21st, 2018, Thomas Bruce entered a St. Louis Catholic supply store and held 3 women at gunpoint, demanding them to perform lewd sexual acts. When one woman refused, he shot and killed her. He was arrested, and Delphi investigators have been interested in him as a possible suspect for the murders of Abby and Libby. Some people believe that Bruce looks like the sketches released by authorities, and the outfits of Bruce and the Delphi suspect are strikingly similar. Both wore blue jeans, a dark blue coat, and a page boy type hat. Another similarity is both of their body types. Both seem to be around 5'9" and heavy set. Both of the crimes were similar in that multiple victims were taken by the suspect, and they both happened in broad daylight on a Monday. There is speculation that the bridge guy used a gun to control Abby and Libby, mirroring the St. Louis crime. So most people involved in this case, the family, the friends, law enforcement, have absolutely no idea who committed this crime, at least from what they're telling the public. And especially just by looking at the sketch, they said that the person in these sketches could be any person in that county that they live in. And really, I mean, it could be any man in the Midwest. Lots and lots of men look like that and wear those types of clothes in the Midwest and all over the country. So authorities and family and friends say that they just can't determine who it would be only by looking at the sketches. And honestly, this point is super emphasized by all of the suspects listed above. Looking at their pictures next to the sketch, it's really easy to say, oh, they look like that sketch, they look like that person. So the sketch, while helpful and while hopefully it can bring in some new tips, probably isn't going to be the only piece of information that brings the suspect to authorities. Police haven't officially named any suspects or released any persons of interest. However, it seems like they may have somebody in mind. In a press release, Sergeant Kim Riley of the state police said, "We have a strong suspicion that the person is either from the area, has visited there before, or has lived in the Delphi area for a number of years." Doug Carter, Indiana State Police Superintendent, said directly to the killer, who may be in this room, "We believe you are hiding in plain sight." It has been 3 years since Abby and Libby were murdered, and there is still no justice for them. The amount of bravery it took to be able to, at 13 and 14 years old, know that something was wrong and record evidence is absolutely astounding. If you have any information about this case, no matter how big, how small, if you think it's true or not, please let the proper authorities know. I will leave links down below, phone numbers down below, so that you can get in touch with the proper authorities, and hopefully a tip, I mean, any tip would be helpful. No tip is too big or too small. So send them in if you have them. Let's get justice for these two little girls. So that is our case for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up so that I know. Make sure that you subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.